Good evening, all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 6:01. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we call the roll, please?
Duel,
Yes.
McCumber,
Yes.
Augustinelli,
Here.
Schmuckel,
Here.
Barchef,
Here.
McManus,
Here.
and Korn.
Here. All present and accounted for. First item on our agenda today is public comment. If there's any member of the public who would care to address the board, please come to the podium and be so kind as to give us your name and address. All right. That's that. We will close public comment, come back to the board for review and approval of the agenda and statements of conflict of interest.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
We have motion and support. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such request will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. This evening you have minutes, January 9th, 2024. Recommend approval. Bills from the general fund, $38,784.35. Recommend approval. Gordy Frazier Developers Escrow Fund, Stormwater Reviews, Utility Plan Review, Oversight and Closeout, $36,535. General Utilities, $11,524, for a total of $48,059. Recommend approval. Introduction of zoning ordinance section 725, commercial district housing development amendment, and schedule public hearing for February 13th, 2024. Recommend approval. Introduction of letterer R1 rezoning and schedule public hearing for February 13th, 2024. Recommend approval. And consideration of proposed road name McHale Boulevard in the Marengo 31 multifamily housing development. Recommend approval.
Is there any member of the board who would like to remove anything from the consent calendar for discussion?
3C.
3C. Anything else from the board? Anything from the public to remove for discussion? Or from staff? I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of 3C.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any questions or comments? A roll call vote, please.
Duel.
Yes.
Augustinelli.
Yes.
Schmuckel.
Yes.
McManus.
Yes.
Barchef.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Korn.
Yes. And the next item is correspondence.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Items removed from the consent calendar. Let's talk about 3C.
It's a real quick question, probably for John. So I got reading that over, John. My question was, when I was reading the open space requirements, it talks about private open areas on the long side of the building. What if they're multiple story residentials? Do the upper levels have yardage areas, a general area, or is it just for lower level people?
It's calculated for all the units. So if you have a two-story building, 10 units below, 10 units above, it's that collectively the 20 units that are calculated into that open space that contribute to that requirement.
And the
Regardless-
upper levels would have yardage, let's say, or space below open space for them to use,
Yeah, they would be able to access that open
It's all
space as well.
commons.
Yeah.
common open space.
And
Okay.
and the upper ones would require some type of like deck or balcony or something of that nature. So there's the actual physical ground open space, and then there's some type of open space that could be part of that unit.
Okay, and the only, I was just questioning, because I was reading yard fence and that, I'm thinking, are they private for just the bottom ones? But, okay, that answers my question. I'll make a motion that we approve 3C.
Support.
We have a motion and support to approve 3C.
Done.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Yule.
Yes.
Barsha?
Yes.
McManus?
Yes.
Humber?
Yes.
Augustinelli?
Yes.
Schmuckel?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Thanks, John.
Now, correspondence. We have no official correspondence today. We'll move on to reports. Item A is the construction report.
Well, good evening, everyone. Jennifer Graham, Gordy Frazier. In your packet dated the 17th is our report to highlight a few things. Finally having some closure on that Cedar Run booster. Sat down with DPW, had them review the plans, and just going through a final QA. And so that is set for probably February 1st to go out for plans for bidding. So we'll see how prices come in. And as been our typical mode of operation, we just give quite a bit of flexibility to contractors with equipment delays, timeline delays. So, but I know DPW is getting anxious with a lot of the growth we're seeing on the west side of town to finally have that booster station relocated from TCAP's west up at the tank. And that'll provide a lot of reliability and improved flow, fire flow, and capacity for you guys to accommodate that growth. A couple other items on the agenda, and I know you guys went through some ARPA funding and some appropriations. McCray PRV and Stone Ridge PRV were both potentially slated for funding. I did have discussions with the DPW and Supervisor Korn. The McCray PRV is functional. It's doing what it needs to do. However, discussions with DPW, the Stone Ridge PRV is actually in more critical concern. It is the only feed for that subdivision, so pressures coming in for those residents should that PRV go down are about 150 pounds. So, and we've been in that situation where we had to take that PRV down and replace some of the components, and so they were without water during that time period because we can't send that high of flow to those properties. Hot water heaters, water softeners, things of that nature, pressure tanks will pop. So their ratings are about 120 pounds or less. So that is definitely a priority list for the DPW. And so I've talked to Supervisor Korn. If you guys recall, all three of those PRVs, the one we did at Cedar Run, McCray, and Stone Ridge, we did put out for bid. Oh man, 2 years ago now. Prices came in high, so we elected just to do the priority at that time, which was Cedar Run, and now we're on to the next priority, which is Stone Ridge. And the intentions are, since you guys did make some ARPA appropriations, to move ahead with Stone Ridge. We were already under contract, so that didn't require any engagement with GFA, because we already had a contract to do that work. Like I said, it's permitted and designed, so we went ahead and actually issued that out for bid this week. And just to do another check to see how maybe prices are coming down, right? Cross your fingers. And but it is a priority, so the DPW is very excited to see some movement on that and provide some reliability for those customers and put a newer style PRV in there. The old style is a concrete tank. These are prefabricated steel tanks. There'll be a bypass, and it'll just be a lot safer for DPW staff to access as well. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Other big projects, Northwest, the sewer extension that was funded partly through developer-driven and county ARPA funds. Last year we put that out for bids. We did not receive any contractors. That is also out for bids this week. And again, crossing our fingers, hoping that we get responsive bidders on that project, because we would like to have that installed and available to specifically Francisco's with their expansion by late spring of this year. Let's see, Olson's, the water service expansion. I did have discussions with Brad. He had requested of this board and submitted a letter of intent to pay for the cost of the water main. And so our next step is to proceed, and it was the election of this board to move ahead and pay for the booster. He pays for the water main. So I plan on pulling together a contract for that probably next month. And sometime in February, you guys will see that on your agenda so that we can start working on design and provide water service expansion to that side of town, which is very exciting, lots of growth. River East, I did meet with Planning Department, provided update conceptual layout for the next 5 years to incorporate some additional trails, playground equipment. That was the wish of the Park and Rec Committee. And so they have those general cost estimates and concept layout. And then phase 3, as phase 2's done, phase 3 is going out for bid next week. And so that's exciting to see that next part of the project move ahead this next year. That, just for a refresher, that's going to be some additional sidewalk extension and a bathroom, which will be a huge, nice amenity for that park, and then all the dog users that are going to be there as well. A lot of utility reviews. People are looking to want to put some more pipe in the ground this coming up spring. Windy Hills submitted to me their 4th submission, so we're going back and forth on that. That's fun. Beta, we're working with them on closeout. Ridges at 45. Britton, Bermley Hills, and Bermley Meadow, we're working through closeout paperwork with them. So hopefully come February, you'll have about 5 projects in front of you to accept turnover of utilities. Marengo 31 is back in queue for us, and it looks like they want to start moving ahead this next year. Same with Villages at Garfield is another utility project that has come back up for us to review and is having some movements. And then otherwise, a couple stormwater reviews trickling in. But I will entertain any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Got one. On the Stone Ridge piece.
Yeah.
When you're doing the upgrade there, how long can they, or will they need to expect to be without water or?
So what we'll do for that one, because of the time, because it is going to be quite a bit of time, it's staged. The PRV is actually going to be in another location. So they'll have the other PRV online so that we can install the new one, test it. So we're talking, the hope would be less than 8 hours of them being without water to facilitate that turnover, is how we kind of staged it and set it up. So the other one's
Is there a
going to...
way we notify those people?
Yes, yep, that's part of what, my contract, and I have access to all the property owners through the GIS and their addresses. So throughout this project, when we get closer, I'll keep them apprised of schedule and anticipation. Give out my cell phone, which is always fun, but nope, that's what you guys pay me to do. So I will coordinate with them so they have a clear understanding of expectations.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Cold storage, there was discussion about when they redo the drainage from that, they were gonna pipe it out back
Yeah.
and possibly get permission from a neighbor to pipe through and all that. Any updates on that?
We actually, Supervisor Korn and myself did have a discussion with Andy Smits, the drain commissioner. And so he's been working with them on basically encompassing them and including them within the drain district. They have done that piping, and so they have been transferred to the back. It's just a matter of agreements and formalities at this point, is what we're working with them on. I think that's is that your understanding as well?
Just to make sure all the Ts are crossed and the
Yep.
Is are dotted.
Yeah.
So the pipe is in or going to be in?
The pipe is in.
They've ran it back there already.
Oh,
Yeah.
they have?
Yeah.
But yet they gotta get permission to, I guess I'm lost. They gotta get permission to cross, but the pipe's already in?
I was not aware about permission for crossing.
Wasn't there talk about them crossing somebody else's property to dump it?
Yeah. They're-
Did
every-
they didn't do that then?
They did do that. There's just some, I would love to have Andy speak.
I know, Andy could, yes, I know it's paperwork at this point, the physical work's been done, but it's just a matter of including them in the assessment role, the assessment district, and removing them from release, or the ability to release them from the bond that we contractually have with them. But I do know the pipe was put in, he worked with them and a contractor, because also, at the same time, not that long ago, that existing 8-inch pipe back there, he experienced a break, and so they had to do some repairs on it too.
So is it up and running then, or are we waiting for the final Ts to be crossed and Is to be dotted?
I believe it is running,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but we haven't released the bond yet,
yeah,
until Andy gives us
The okay that everything is legit?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah. That's what, we asked Andy basically to provide us a letter with the final as-built and a letter of his approval so that we would feel comfortable approving what he approved, if that
Okay,
makes sense.
Good. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Chloe?
We had allocated, I think, 550,000 for water sewer projects with our ARPA money. I know you're putting it out for bid, but do you know roughly the cost for the Stone Ridge PRV versus the McRae? Are they about the same?
They were about
or-
the same.
Okay, and it was like $1 million?
Yeah.
Over $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
We have
no,
The
I,
ARPA projects have to be under contract this year,
oh, okay.
so I don't know if you know that. I know you're working on a
Well,
lot of them, but.
Chuck called me and asked, yes, he
Yeah.
asked me the status of where they were and knew that we wanted to get one funded and which
Yeah.
one was the priority. So the
Yeah.
no, well, I'm thanking you because the DPW's elated.
Yeah.
They've been really concerned about that one, and I wasn't aware of it either until I broached the subject with them, so.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you for moving on that.
Yep, all right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next is the MMR report.
Good evening, Amy Fairchild with MMR Operations Manager. We closed out 2023. December, we had a total of 388 calls over here in Garfield Township. For Garfield Township, for the year 2023, we had just over 6,000 calls for service, just in the Garfield Township alone. For the Northwest Division, which includes Manistee and Wexford County, but we're all one big group here, we had 19,000 calls, a little bit over that. So most of my folks weren't bored too often, thankfully. Otherwise, they end up in my office and want to be entertained. So, just as a couple of quick updates, our paramedic class that started back in the spring is moving on to their externship, which means they've completed the didactic portion. They've done a bunch of clinicals. This is where they have 4 months to be the lead paramedic, working under licensed paramedics already. So we're there to catch them, make sure they don't mess up anything, but it's where they start putting everything that they learned here out into their hands. They start that next week. So we've got 20 students. We started with 24. We have 20 that are going through the externship phase, which means they have passed the hard part. Now it's the fun, as the instructor is calling it, but they're all pretty nervous. So hopefully you don't need us, but if you see somebody shaking, it's okay. They're just learning. The other really good news that we have is that we have grown to the point we have outgrown our base. So we are looking at options of whether to renovate and expand our base or to find a place somewhere in Garfield Township. So if you have a place with several garages available, feel free to let me know. That would fit several ambulances. But we've outgrown because we've grown so much. We started with 40 people in December of 2020, and we're at 118 right now. So while I can always use more people, I'm happy with our progress. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What about the old Beta location when they abandoned it?
Precision Plumbing and Heating.
Oh,
Yeah, they already
Yeah.
purchased it, yeah.
So we drove by Precision Heating and Plumbing just to see how it looked for us, but it's kind of a little tight, so I'm not sure we can make that one work. But we might still poke at it when they move out.
maybe if they put it in an area, they could have a precinct building in there. Laney.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next is the County Commissioner report.
Good evening, everyone. Brad Jewett, Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners Vice Chair, District 4.
Lauren Flynn, District 2.
We had a meeting last week there. Northern Lakes Community Mental Health presented their annual report to us. During that annual report, we did learn that Northern Lakes and NMRE are going through their big audit right now and everything, so no results of that right now. So as that unfolds, if there's something pertinent, we'll definitely let you know. We also, as a board, approved a pilot policy. We've had 3 pilots in front of us now since mid-December, and we do have a policy now that these developers that are seeking that need to follow the rules of the policy if they want to get in front of us. One of the big rules are at the county level, we can not see their project or their pilot request any later than when they turn it into the townships and everything, because these 3 that we've had, I mean, it was literally, here it is in our laps, and we have 10 to 12 days to make a decision on them. So Wallet Community did get their pilot approved by us. That's a project out in Blair Township called Corner Crossings, and that's going to be just west of Chums Corners on the north side of the road there by the USA Trailer Place back in there, or not USA Trailer, whatever trailer place that is there. We did hear a small presentation about the national human trafficking, and a lot of people don't realize that it happens a lot in our state and our community and everything. So just yesterday or day before, pavilions, wait, today's Wednesday. I think it was Monday. It was
Today's
finally
Tuesday.
official.
Yeah.
That the pavilions did receive their $6.8 million in employee retention credit. We knew it was coming, but they actually received it. So they did make the county whole with the money that they did borrow over the last 7, 8, 9 months, I guess it was. So as of right now, we are made whole with that. And then one other thing we did at the board level last week, there was an ad hoc created to discuss the road commission and just look at a smaller group level how road commissions are ran in the state of Michigan and everything like that. I am part of that ad hoc. We've not met yet. I don't know what the other person or persons on there are looking for in regards to what they want to come out of it, but what I sensed was they want to learn different options on how they're ran and everything in the state. So
I have 2 meetings set up with 2 separate road commissioners to see what their viewpoint is as well, to take that back and send that to my colleagues as well in their ad hocs.
and I did talk to a couple of the road commissioners last week, because they reached out after this ad hoc was put together, and at first they thought it was a referendum against them, and I myself, I'm not looking at it that way. I'm looking at it based on our conversation was, one commissioner specifically wants to see how road commissions are ran in the state. Some are ran by counties, some are elected road boards, some are appointed road boards. And so we'll get into the guts of that and see where it goes, and we'll go from there.
And go Lions.
Yeah, Red Wings.
Any questions or comments for us?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll stick around until the meeting's over tonight, so if anybody has anything, I'll be here too.
Yeah.
You're
I
sticking
know.
around with me?
Next is the Grand Traverse County Road Commissioners Report.
Good evening, Alan Lehman for the Road Commission. I have a number of things on my list because this meeting was canceled in December, so I didn't attend. First thing is our Kingsley facility is ongoing. Construction is going. The weather has been pretty good for outdoor construction, and they're moving along a little faster than we thought. I don't know that we'll get in there any earlier, whatever the far date of our move-in is, but it's been possible for the contractors to work, and they're happy with that. Our finance manager that we were searched for a year for, between the previous manager and the current manager, we had an opening between the changes for almost a year, and our manager who went somewhere else and now is back with us, has returned, Phil Masseron. We think he's fabulous, and we really missed him. The Road Commission has committed a lot of funds to different projects, and I think with the way the prices have increased, our budget's going to be under duress in the near term. One of those things that we've added is in Garfield Township is Blue Star Estates. That's a special assessment district that you're covering part of the cost of, and even though our current policy is we don't cover part of that, we've allocated, I don't know, $50,000 or $60,000 for that, and I think we're going to look at our special assessment districts and the real down local roads, the smallest roads, least amount of traffic. But during the current operations of the Road Commission, it's obvious that you can only stretch the money so far, and you can only do our main roads are continually improving. The rating is going up slightly because we've had that as a focus. We've started on what we're calling through local roads now, which serve as primary roads, but the state doesn't let us have about 15% of the primary roads, and anything more than that we're not allowed to have. But we're recognize those as through locals, and we're starting to work on those. But if the money's only going to go so far. So our current policy is let's limit the in the real low traffic places, neighborhoods. We don't have much money available. You guys have been, I've been a Garfield Township resident for a long time. I think you've been particularly helpful to the residents, and we're going to review this and see if there's any way we can squeeze this a little bit better to find something else. We've purchased property near the North Long Lake Road and Straight Road intersection. I know it's a little bit out of township, but the feeder that comes in here, we're going to work on some sort of, we've asked for some state and federal funding for some design to bring that area together, because the main roads there don't align, and it's particularly troublesome for the traffic, and there's really no way to build out around it. We're looking at some weird shaped peanut roundabout to pull this in. It's going to take some space. Some property became available, and we purchased that. Our manager intends to meet with the supervisors again soon about the corridor studies we've completed, and that kind of brings us to the big thing was the crosstown, the east-west corridor, which MDOT decided not to support us on, and I don't know that they don't think it's necessary, but we don't exactly know what they think. They told us they're not going to help us fund it, so the bridge is well beyond the road commission's ability to fund. Even with a special assessment, if the county voters approved, I don't think we could get that far. So we've directed our consultant, OHM Advisors, who our engineer feels are really qualified to do this, to focus on two areas that were part of the crosstown transit. One of them was for resiliency, is actually the Logan's Landing area on South Airport Road. And that, the emergency service people don't like it. It's low, it could be washed out. Without the bridge that we've talked about, if we ever have a failure there, it'll take a long time to repair. And so we're going to look at maybe fixing that area as best we can, make it more resilient. Might mean raising the grade, might mean a new bridge down there. There's a lot of connecting properties, there's a lot of engineering work, but our consultant's going to focus on two areas now, because the bridge is kind of out of bounds price-wise. The Logan's Landing area, and then Hartman Road from Cass to 31, including maybe perhaps a new intersection at the 31 South spot. If you all must travel that, like I do occasionally, the Hartman Road thing needs a lot of work. There's been tremendous growth in the township here, and it's unsafe pulling out of there, in my opinion, most of the time. The intersection, MDOT has told us over the years that they want roundabouts. We've put some roundabouts around town. When we've apparently done some initial design work with them, they say, no, you don't really need a roundabout there. You need a traffic light. So this is from the people who have the money and have the design, will have design input in that intersection. So if we are able to do something there, if you know anybody at MDOT and you like the roundabouts and that you really believe, like we do, that it reduces the traffic weights, you can maybe lean on them a little bit, say, hey, we kind of like them. You encourage the road commission to do them, and now at your intersection, you're telling them you don't want it. So we're not sure which way to go, but we know that needs work there, and we know the Hartman connection needs improvement. And the consultant's going to work on some areas between there. Already, the future funding with the Metropolitan Planetary Authority, which Chuck is a member of, we're going to work on Cass. Initially, it was from South Airport to Hartman. As the scope of the project has increased, we're hopefully going to work on it all the way down to the new Robbins Bridge. That there'll be some improvements when that comes up in the 25 or 26 construction season, that whole stretch there. I know we're thinking about 3 lanes at least. That's the next logical step for that area, and I think they told us most of the way we have enough. We have enough easement for that without doing much easement, or to put a left turn lane in there to really help the traffic flow on that. And I think that's all I have for you, unless you have questions.
Go ahead.
I just was thinking of a smart thing. Why don't we write a letter to MDOT, invite them to come up here in the summertime, and then have them stay on the west side of town and have the parties on the east side of town, and then desserts back on the west side of town. And let's see how fun they think it is crossing this town east-west, and maybe they'll join the party about a bridge then.
Boy, Steve, it would be great. The current board of the road commission believes that we need corridor improvement. We really need an east-west corridor. All of us have talked about it, and there's been talk since 1983 or so, and we're no less convinced that we don't need a corridor. To make it as environmentally friendly and not to impact the river valley, we got this big high proposal for the big high bridge, and that comes with a big high price that it's not within our means. So we believe that's something we should be doing, but they have the option of not helping us. Just if we make these applications, they don't have to pass this on to the feds, and they don't have to get behind the project, and that's what they've done. They say we're not in favor of that, and we're not going to help you right now. So we're going to work on the things we can work on, and the consultant who's done a lot of field work and elevation stuff in there is, maybe within 6 months or something, we'll have something that we could get some approvals on to bid and build.
Molly?
Our legislators that we have, Representative Coffey has been able to get money for other things in the area. Somebody communicating with her pretty strongly that we need it? Is she on board with this stuff?
We have communicated with her, and I don't believe she's on board.
Okay.
We are working, we've also asked for some help in Peninsula Township, which most of you know, Bluff Road is closed, and we've kind of re-energized the Bluff Road meeting, and we're going to look for some simpler solutions. And the only thing that's standing out, most of the grant money that was talked about they had quite a few programs, but they were big in scope but really small in funding. Let's do this, but the one program had something, they took the grant application. We couldn't even apply. It was so far out of the range. They had $100 million worth of guesses for application, and they funded it with $5 million. The stuff is just, it's a lot of talk, and it hasn't been where we can get effective work. Now, there is a FEMA program that one of the people who lives near the closure has got a contact, and that's going to be administered by somebody he knows and can work with. And apparently the FEMA program has some potential to be part of our solution. We're circling back around this again and going to try to find some money to get it open.
Any other questions for Alan? Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Thank
Alan.
you.
The next item is the personnel report.
So the Personnel Committee met last week, I think it was, and discussed the topic about some administrative changes, supervisor, manager, and there's just a lot of homework that we have to do to get you information to make a decision. There's a lot of townships that we're contacting and waiting to hear back from. There's websites that we have to go through to look at board packets for budgets. So there's just a lot of work that we have to do to prep things. That's why we don't have any more today other than just a quick update. So is our plan to meet next week and then our following meeting to be able to present something for you to make a decision on which direction you want to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the other topic we will discuss a little later in the
A
meeting.
bit later in the proper order.
There we go. Any questions for Chris? Okay. Next is the supervisor's report. We did our fire chief interviews last week and reduced it from 4 down to 2, and we are having a special meeting Friday afternoon. Thursday afternoon, which will last for somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 hours. So that's it's been an interesting process, but we have, I think, 2 really good candidates. So we're very optimistic. Been talking to the county and some of the state agencies on a blight elimination grant to be used for some housing projects, and it's kind of on the bubble. We're We have, I think, 3 or 4 different agencies and some county reps that will be meeting in a Teams meeting on the phone Friday to talk about what we can do or can't do. So that's, again, optimistic, but not guaranteed. The Jefferson Road SAD, the petitioners, the people who were the spark for the project, came in and they are not excited. They worked hard to get over 50% of the road frontage signed, and then the road commission gave them another estimate that was 44% higher, so they have asked me to arrange for a meeting with the road commission, and we are going to do that. It's a couple weeks from now, when everybody can get there at the same time. So that's on the agenda, and we know we're dealing with a limited supply of money, so we'll see how that rolls. We had our personnel committee on the 17th. We met last night with the Ridgewood residents. Ridgeview, those people.
Those people.
Funny stuff. And had a good discussion. I mean, we had our road commission rep there. Jennifer was there to talk about the water portion. Amy was there to talk about the special assessment procedures. And I think the conversation went very well. So we are looking forward to that.
They were thankful for it, too. Thank you again.
Attended the Northwest Michigan Policy Conference, and it was a very interesting meeting. A lot of people who were running for office speaking.
Surprise, surprise.
But there were some good conversations, and there were some people who had some great presentations. And that's the gist of the supervisor's report, unless there are any questions. All right.
Thank you.
And we will move on to unfinished business, and we have no unfinished business. And then to new business, which is a discussion of the building department staff. We did meet, and it was the consensus of the personnel committee that we would like to engage a search firm to find a qualified building official who is interested in living up here in the best place in Michigan. So,
I think that's a great idea.
I said we were unanimous in that. If someone would like to make a motion to that
I make a
effect.
motion that we hire a search firm to find a building department, for our building department staff.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Questions?
A question. So, did you discuss having that person come in and work with Carl for a while? Is he willing to stay for a while? And he's got a special way of doing
Yes.
the building department. It works out very well for us. So that culture, it would be nice to have that culture continue on.
Our intention is to get it done as soon as possible so that can
That
be
can
done.
happen, yeah.
Carl has indicated that while he will not be reapplying for his license to be a building official, he would be able to work on a limited basis. So even afterwards, he's not writing himself out of the picture.
Oh,
When does he have to apply for that license?
September,
The middle of September. like
It's a-
So
Yes.
does it go
16th or
till the end of December then?
no.
It goes to
It
September?
expires in September.
But he would be able to be here to guide the new person even though he doesn't have that license?
Right, he
Okay.
could work as an inspector.
oh,
Oh, okay, good,
great.
good.
He's,
Do you want to do that?
No.
Part-time?
it's,
Oh, give him a year.
He said he would do zoning, he would do anything, but he's tired of being the building inspector.
Oh,
We can't
Scenery.
I can understand.
Do you have any idea what the search firm will run roughly? From past, have we used them in the past?
We have not.
Oh.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
That is.
As long as I've been here, we haven't.
I don't
What this
remember
is.
what we used for Amy Cell Talent for Metro. I can't remember what that figure was.
Yeah, that was,
Was it 18,000? Is that
somewhere between 18 and 20,000,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, if you're gonna get good candidates, I think that's the way you need to go.
Yep. It is, I think we'll,
Start
We-
that yesterday?
yeah, we have some ideas, but we have to obviously talk to a couple of different people and then come back to the board at the first meeting in February with a recommendation.
I think the sooner the better is if we get the firm and then get the candidates and then possibly hire the candidate. At least there might be a couple months for them to work with Carl, for sure, before he walks out the door.
Right.
What's he actually titled? What's his actual title?
Building official.
Building official, okay.
He does work elections for me. He's the supervisor for food service. Maybe he'll do that again.
That's not anything to do with building. He might still do that.
It's another hat he wears.
Yeah. Building official, okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Great.
And then I can just tell you that the director of information for MTA, after we met on the 17th, we went to work the next Monday and contacted MTA, and Mike Selden is the director of information. He was on vacation. So we talked to their in-house attorney, who had a lot of information but didn't have everything. And when he got back, we got a big email with a lot of information today, which it's going to help move things along. I know now there's 39 charter townships with managers in Michigan. So we just started working through that list and looking for size comparisons and stuff like that. So we have work to do.
Yep,
Yep.
that you do.
All right. This brings us back to public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion
Yeah.
and support. Any questions or comments? This is on the motion to
Hire the firm.
begin the process of hiring a firm. All in favor say aye.
aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Now,
Public comment.
we will have public comment.
I won't take long. Alan Lehman, 5089 Case Court. I just wanted to comment on the building department. Over the years, since I've lived in Garfield Township, I've had many instances to use your building department, and it is fantastic. I really hope you're going to be successful finding somebody as good to replace Carl and to be the building official or however you time it. It's just a place that works for its citizens, and I'm thrilled with the stuff I've done here for 30 years, and I heard Mrs. Gostinelli say the same thing. It's really great, and makes Garfield Township a warm place to do business with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss them.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Any other business to come before the board today? Steve?
One quick thing that came up at the ZBA, and I think they had maybe mentioned it to you before, but there's a couple, well, let's say one specific member of the ZBA that's asking the question of, are board members liable for lawsuits if somebody has a hair against them? And I had mentioned that I would bring it up and ask, and I had also mentioned that everybody's getting paid, so technically I think they're on payroll, but the question was, are they covered on the insurance policy if somebody goes rogue?
Yeah, they are covered under the power plant insurance policy. And it's I don't think you can sue one of the members unless they do something illegal, like an illegal conversation or,
Go off on a major bad tangent.
I think you can talk. I just think you can't meet with people outside of the actual ZBA.
The ZBA meeting room, okay.
Right.
Okay. I'll get with you on who that is, and maybe you can call them and explain that.
Well, Mike, I already talked to Mike.
Oh, okay, Mike knows who it was.
Yep.
Okay, all right. That was it. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
If there are no objections,